I'm not really sure. I think the problem is the framework here is in the United Nations construction of the resolutions that have been adopted by the UN, which call for a bizonal, bicommunal federation. What the Turkish Cypriots are proposing is outside that framework. So the question is, can they put that aside and sort of start from fresh and try to come up with some creative, what they're saying, creative ideas, and not have the United Nations structure be an obstacle to working this out. And I'm a bit concerned about it because what you see are hardening of positions on both sides, and I don't see this realistic, creative approach from the parties. I mean, the way to really resolve this, candidly, is to have the Greek and Turkish Cypriots sit together quietly without the guarantors and without the other powers, and let them try to work this out, because really what this is about is the future of the people on the island. I've been reading a lot on the web and elsewhere where Greek and Turkish Cypriots are trying very hard to live together on the island. And the problem is that there's this big mega politics or macro politics or international players which are really the kind of overarching influence in this. And it makes it very, very hard for the parties themselves to come up with original and creative ideas. Well, it's interesting that I believe in one of the previous meetings, Jack Straw, I think is the foreign minister of UK, believed that partition was the solution to this problem, which is very much aligned with what the Turkish Cypriots are talking about. And frankly, if you go way back in history, the Greek Cypriots were promoting enosis, and the Turks were promoting taksim, which was partition. About the UK, they are in a very interesting situation. First of all, they have bases, and also on the island, in Akrotiri and Dekalia, and also on the Greek side. And also, there are many expats, many British retirees who live on the island that retire from civil service and elsewhere to the island of Cyprus. So UK is, and I want to say one more thing about UK, if I may. UK is not the same UK that it was years ago when these negotiations took place, or when the UK became involved in the island, had controlled the island and so forth. The UK of today, post-Brexit, is a much diminished power. And so, again, I really believe that the solution to this problem really needs to focus on the parties who live on the island, and all these other powers involved will make it very, very hard to foster a really creative. If they want creative, then they need to huddle in a room and they need to work up an idea. But it has to be kind of starting from the tabula rasa, from the blank slate, because otherwise, if you're just starting in the construction of what the UN has in place and that structure and the four walls of that structure, they're never going to be able to reach an agreement. So I'm going to be somewhat a little bit hopeful and optimistic when we see a meeting that maybe there will be a breakthrough. But and I'm going to keep being hopeful, because that is the future of the people on the island, really hinges on that. So hopefully we don't have too much international politics and a lot of worrying about the people who live there and trying to forge a future for them so they can live in peace and live together. That would be lovely. And also share the resources of the Eastern Med for the win-win of all the people on the island. How nice would that be? So again, I'm going to be hopeful, but I'm going to be realistic, I think, as the Secretary General said.